Hey everybody, it's Zach from Myshire Farm. We are back again with another video to help you on your adventure with Coturnix quail and becoming more self-sufficient. Today we're going to talk about what do you feed your layer quail. Once they are mature and starting to lay eggs, what do I feed them? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. We just did a video on what do you feed your starters, your growers, and so now we're going to transition into our layer feed. So first and foremost, what you want to do is at about 8 weeks old, you want to transition them from a starter grower to a layer feed. And what that means is you're going to mix the two together for about 5 to 7 days so that it's a smooth transition, because by 8 weeks old, they should have already been laying for about 1 to 2 weeks. So you don't want them to stop laying, and they do stop laying when they have a change in their environment, whether you move them or you change their feed or you change their lighting or whatever the case may be. Quail don't like change. So if you transition them smoothly for about 5 to 7 days, they continue to lay at full production. Now, with our layer feed, we actually customize this. Now, if we were just raising for ourselves for self-sufficiency and we didn't have the business, we would not do this. But we do this because we sell and ship so many hatching eggs. We want the best and most production as well as the best quality eggs that we can send out. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We have updated this a little bit. We've had separate videos on this before, but we have done a lot of research on this year, and we wanted to give you an update. So the biggest reason why you want to switch from a starter grower to a layer feed is, one, you need higher calcium to produce the eggs and have hard shells and this, that, and the other. And you want to decrease the protein. The reason for that is mainly the cost of the feed is the protein that you're getting. So the higher the protein, the higher the cost the feed will be. So they don't need as much protein once they're about 8 weeks old, because they're starting to lay eggs, they're producing that, and so they're not growing as much. So you can lay off the protein. So for example, the starter grower is between 25 and 32% in the protein area that you want to be at. That's the range. Now with the layer feed, you want to be between 17 and 22%. This is ideal. Now we have said 15% in the past to 20%, but we have done a lot of research this year, and it really seems that once they hit about 6 to 7 months old, it really does help them to be between that 17 and 22% protein. So you want to transition them to a 17 to 22%. We obviously use, as you can see, a 20%. The next is the crude fat is very important. You want to be between 2 and 3% on that, and we've got a 3.2. So again, it doesn't have to be ideal. The fiber, you want it to be between 5 and 7%. We're right in the middle at 6%. And then the calcium, you want to be between 2 and 3.5%. This is very, very important for your layers, and we're obviously in that range as well. So what you're looking for is a range, something that's similar. You don't have to find the exact, right? And then again, you definitely want to crumble. We have experienced that this year with pellets, mini pellets, mesh, crumble, and crumble just really seems to work best for your Coturnix quail. And helps them process and do all the things that they need to do. So I highly, highly recommend a crumble, but there's many different ways to raise Coturnix quail. So if you want to feed them a starter grower their entire lifespan, a lot of people do that and have success with it. Chris from Slightly Redneck does that, and that's completely okay. And so, you know, you raise the quail however you want. However, with that being said, I highly, highly recommend that a crumble is absolutely necessary, and you shouldn't be feeding them anything else. Another thing is you do not want to grind your feed. There is a big reason for that, and that's what I'm going to talk about next. So if you get a feed and you try to grind that, you are going to change the makeup of that feed pellet or whatever you have. The reason I say that is when feed mills they start out as pellets, and then they use a machine to make it mini pellets, and then they use another machine to crumble it, and then they use another machine to mesh it. It's very, very scientific. It is down to an art, a science, right? Now, if you're just grinding it up, that's not really a science anymore. So there's going to be some of that feed that is not nutritious at all. And that can result in soft shells or prolapse or aggression because they're not getting what they need. So if you're grinding your feed and you're having any issues with your quail, that's most likely the problem right there. And then we do recommend you transition them at 8 weeks old to a layer feed. That's going to help them a lot. And yeah, so my biggest tip for you is, number one, don't grind the feed. And number two, use the crumble. Number three is try to find a local feed mill. I'm telling you, this is going to save so much time, energy, and help you on your adventure with Coturnix quail and help the quail lay and be productive for as long as they can be. Find a local feed mill, take a screenshot of this in and say, hey, how can I match this up the best that I can? And they'll be more than happy to help you out. They'll have a lot of resources they can look at and things like that. We have this specially made through Klombach. Now, I do realize that not everybody has access to a local feed store or a local feed mill in your area. So I did do some research. There are comparable things out there to this at Tractor Supply as well as Chewy.com. Now, again, you don't have to match this up identically, but you want to be close to those ranges. I did contact Tractor Supply. They cannot get this feed in because it is customized, and Klombach does not make it unless they order 5 to 7 pallets at a time. So you can't get this exact in, but Klombach does have an all-purpose, all-flock layer feed that is very, very comparable to this, and that would work just fine. Again, we feed specifically because we ship out so much, but I can't stress to you enough, you don't need to worry about it too much. They're really not picky. As long as your protein, your fat, your fiber, and your calcium are within that range, if they're close enough to each other and it is a crumble, they don't care. They're going to do their job for you. So if you have chickens, or if you have turkeys, or if you have pheasants, or if you have whatever, I wouldn't change the feed. I would just feed them all the same thing if I was just raising them for self-sufficiency, because they'll do fine with that. We fed them this year turkey starter. We fed them an all-purpose layer feed. We've done a lot of researches, and they're fine with that as long as the ranges are met. So I hope that this helps. If you have any questions, comment below. We go live every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our YouTube channel, Myshire Farm, for a live question and answer. So if you have any questions, we'd be happy to have you on, ask your questions, and we will help you on your adventure then. Thank you very, very much for watching, and until next time, everybody, stay safe.